Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel where we apply the principles of spirituality, philosophy, and mysticism to rapid lifestyle transformation. If you find our materials of value, please subscribe and like, because in the coming weeks, I'm going to adumbrate, I'm going to outline the general tenor of the rest of this course. And I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty of how to create the lifestyle that you want in the way that you want. Of course, in these short videos, I can give you the tools to do it yourself. I can give you the outline, but I cannot go as in-depth into it as I'd like to, as I could do in the style of a course. And so we are working on a curriculum and a course where we deep dive into these topics for hours, and then we can more heavily specialize in creating exactly the lifestyle that you want, because the application of these principles is going to differ according to your intentions. It's going to differ according to what you want, and also according to your personality. And I can get into more of that in the curriculum that we're going to be building on another platform, and that I'll be telling you about in the coming weeks and months. Also, if you really want to get deep into this and have my personal assistance, someone guiding you by the hand as a consultant, as someone who's done this in business before, not necessarily that heavily in lifestyle transformation. And I'm still working on doing it for myself and for people in my family and close to me, but I have not done it on such a massive scale, coaching others, but we are doing that. If you want to do that, you can email me at javier_novoa@hotmail.com. You do not even have to wait for the course. I will begin to guide you personally in this modality of lifestyle transformation. So please subscribe and like to our channel so that we can get this word out to as many people as possible, because the times call for this, ladies and gentlemen. This is an idea, rapid lifestyle transformation, in the context of freedom and in the context of applying this modality of law of attraction and law of assumption. Mixing all of these tools and utilizing them for a powerful punch in getting you where you want to be. All of that being said, these videos are going to allow you to take off from them and to do your own research, and then to be able to position yourself for the lifestyle that you want. Everyone's going to have a different desire. And I'm going to link the first two videos in this series here, where I went into journaling, where I went into contemplation, where I went into whittling your desires down to their essence and getting some emotional and a few physical cues in there, so that you could begin taking psychological and spiritual action on that, which is indeed the only action that you have to take. Because once you take action on the spiritual, once you go within and declare that to the universe, and once you start allowing it in, that is all you really need, because the universe will orchestrate and find ways to get that to you. However, people on this channel want to have our hands in the clay, because that's why we came, ladies and gentlemen. We came to create wonderful creations, and we came to have a hand in it. For if not, we would have chosen to be born probably to British royalty or to a royal family, where we would have simply inherited a title, where we would have inherited a massive estate, and then we could just float through life in that. But as we can see, many of these wealthy people are not happy. As I went into in my rant, I do know many wealthy people, considered wealthy by worldly means and by the status that this society gives them, and they're not very happy people. Why? They could be if they embraced this modality also and started to allow themselves to launch those rockets of desire anew, and allowed themselves to conceptualize an intention and then go after it with the tools that we present here, both spiritual and physical. So let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. I spoke to you in our previous videos about journaling, and I'd recommend that you watch them. Contemplation and journaling. And then once you do this, and once you get your desire down to that symbolic letter that we talked about, so let's say you want a house. Well, you would put that letter of H, for example, into this circle, which represents a magnetic force pulling that to you. And then you start to train your brain. You list some physical components of that, some sensory components, and then you list some emotional components of that. So, for example, it would make you feel elated. It would make you feel excited. Then you practice those scenes in your imagination while at the same time practicing those emotions. You're not going to be able to get it the first few times. But as you continue to surround yourself with that state and continue to what we call mentally rehearse it, you will get that, and that will fall in line to you. And then you associate all of this with your letter. And then you become so good at this over a period of a few days to a few weeks that you'll be able to stand in line in the supermarket and you'll imagine your letter being surrounded by those magnetic fields, and then you will be able to get into that state immediately. I want you to get so good at this, ladies and gentlemen, that you can literally do it in your sleep. I want you to make this state a part of you and make this who you are. Because state is a matter of being. State means that I'm so used to being surrounded by the context of what I want. Even though on the physical dimension it's not here, I am already mentally on that film roll. And the great thing about it, ladies and gentlemen, is that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between physically being there in this film roll. Oh, you are physically there already, just on another film roll, in another dimensionality. And then you simply tap into that. And an easy way to do it is by using this letter as a cue to tap into that. So while we're doing this, and while we're developing spiritually, we don't want to sit around, ladies and gentlemen. The reason we don't want to sit around is because there's going to be so many ideas and inspirations coming to us that if we do nothing and if we take no action on it, we will then feel as if we're not completely giving ourselves to it, and then that'll set up resistance and it'll push it further away, and we'll have to do more mental work. So in this course, we teach both mental techniques and actual working and physical techniques, but they have to be inspired and they have to be from a state of flow. Either they're inspired or from a state of flow, or they're done simply with the end of feeling better, and then when you feel better, you'll be inspired to more action. So what are we going to do? Like I said in our last video, we're going to generate a plan. And remember, this plan is not rigid. This plan is going to change the moment it hits the ground. All this plan is for is to give you the confidence to take that first step. You take that first step in faith, and you take that first step already being in the state of what you want. As we said in our video about work, and I'll link this video also in the description, very briefly, that state is something that's going to completely carry you to everything that you want. And the only actions that you take in that state are inspired actions. Therefore, they're not effort. You have to take action without taking effort. For once you take effort, you're also introducing resistance into the mix, and that's going to push your desire further away in time and space. And the very act of starting to make this plan, ladies and gentlemen, is going to put you in that vibrational vicinity and is going to start attracting things to you from the ethers and from the non-physical that are going to simply increase you in faith. And you have to walk in faith, because the proof that you are that person is that you start unfolding as that person in the physical. You start thinking like that person, you start taking the actions that that person would take, and you start getting the results that that person would get. And so this is a fruit or a proof that you've done the vibrational work. Of course, the vibrational work is the most important. So go back and watch those videos. So we're simply now going to take the issue of home and homestead, because it's a very important issue. It's probably the most important for several reasons, because when we live in the cities, for example, depending on where we live, the major part of our income goes into housing and goes into basic living expenses, transport and housing and so on. And if we could reduce that somewhat, we could step into our freedom. As I was talking about yesterday, I'm a teacher of freedom. I am a mentor and a coach of freedom. What I want to do is get you free to design your schedule in the way that you want. And to work fewer hours, ladies and gentlemen. The way that we work in this society, first of all, is not natural. It's not the way our ancestors did it. It doesn't respect our biological makeup. Here's the way our biological makeup is set up. It's set up to, for example, scientists have researched polyphasic sleep, and you can look this up. It's the most restful and healthy way to sleep. So you'll sleep for 3 hours, then you'll get up and do something for 2 hours, then you'll sleep for 4 more hours, and so on and so forth. We weren't just meant to go and sleep for 8 or 9 hours, or for some of us, God forbid, 5 or 4 hours, and then to get up and just to go crank it out for 8 to 12 hours, and then to repeat that. No, we were meant to rest, to do some work, to rest, to do some work. And our ancestors would usually not work more than 5 hours a day. I know that Trevor Blake has a great modality and a great book, the great entrepreneur and knower of this material, Trevor Blake, where he talks about the practical magic of the 5-hour workday. I would say 3 to 5 hours. The only way that you can be in the zone and the only way that you're going to do quality work is if you do it in spurts and then take long breaks in between. If you try to simply work for hours and hours on end, you're not going to be productive. And so therefore, there's no reason to do that, because the productivity, you start running into what economists call diminishing returns. But this is the way our crazy society is set up. And until enough people awaken, the only way to escape from that is to start thinking differently and to go off grid. We're going to teach you on this channel how to go off grid, or at least we're going to get you started in that, so that in shorter time than you thought possible, you can start getting away from this modality, whether it's a job or your own business, of having to work multiple hours a day and having to live according to some schedule that's imposed from the outside. We were meant to create our own schedules, and we were meant to be spontaneous. So if you're in bed one day and you feel like, oh, I just don't want to get up this morning, I'm not going to work today, that's the way it should be. And by the way, our ancestors, especially in the United States and in this country and in this hemisphere, they were farmers. So they'd work for a few months out of the year, and the rest of the year they wouldn't work because this wasn't the farming season. And what would they do? They'd spend time with their families. Of course, they'd do certain chores around the home. They'd make repairs and so forth. But they had downtime, and they were able to read and educate themselves. And it's no wonder that our forebears were a lot more educated than the people are now today. Even though we have such a proliferation of information, the majority of people are uneducated. They're unable to carry on an intelligent conversation. That's unfortunately the fact. And this is what I want you to be able to deliver yourselves from and your family from by structuring the lifestyle in the way that you want. So first of all, you need to choose. Well, none of this is going first because this is all a system. So you're going to look at where you want to live. Then you're going to look at how much it would cost for you to live. You're going to put together a basic blueprint for that. But then you're going to have to go back and you're going to say, well, this is not in accordance with this, so I have to change this. You've got to be willing to make rough drafts, to make mistakes, and then to change it as you go along. Reality, my friends, is not linear. Reality is circular. It works in systems. And I'd recommend all of you to study systems thinking, because it teaches you not to think in simple linear cause and effect, but to think in terms of circles of cause and effect that strengthens, they give the example of a snowball and strengthens as a snowball. So then you'll know where to intervene in that circle to either strengthen it or to weaken and dissolve it. So these are just some disparate thoughts here. So what I want you to do now is I want you to take your image of your home or your homestead and feel the feelings and imagine and observe it. Then I want you to start doing some research. First of all, you can decide, okay, you have a pretty general idea. If you're living in a big city where houses are $1 million, where otherwise they would cost $200,000, I need you to be open and flexible to moving. Don't be tied down to one place. And for this, I'd recommend a book like Vagabonding. And I'd recommend reading blogs about digital nomads and people who are nomadic, because in this day and age, the main obstacle to freedom is these mortgages and is this being tied down to one place. What you want to do is you want to expand your horizon and be able to move. Especially with technology nowadays being the way it is, and we're not saying it's always going to be that way, but for now, you can contact members of your family. You can contact anyone you want. You can work remotely at the push of a button. And there are ways to generate and make income that we're also going to be unfolding in this course. There are many ways to make income online, and there are many ways to reduce your expenses so that you don't have to make as much income to live the way that you want and where you want. So I want you to open your minds to moving to other places. Then you can go do some research, and we're going to go into specific websites where you can research property values, where you can research expenses and so on and so forth, and you can find the best place for you based on your circumstances. And what you'll be able to do just in a matter of a few hours of research is put together a sketchy and rough outline of your expenses. Then what I want you to do is add taxes and so on. This is just an estimate. We're going to be able to go back to this later, and we're going to be able to revise this. This is not something that's final. This is not something that's going to be written in stone, but it's just something to get your intellectual and creative juices anyway. Because we're not doing this with intellect in this course anyway. We're allowing the things to come to us. But I want to show you how making a sketchy plan and outline will open those doors to you, will open the doors of intuition to you, and things will start flowing into your life. Someone will give you money. Someone will say, hey, I heard about a really good deal on a house in Rhode Island or something like that, or in this country or in this area. Many people are moving to Asia. And that takes me really quick to a detour in another vein. And we're going to be making specific videos about each part of this chain of journaling and this chain of drafting your plan. So we're going to be making detailed videos about this. This is just the introduction, but I'd recommend that you buy and read the book called Safe Places by Joel Skousen. Because one of the greatest planks and the greatest aspects of planning where you want to live and getting off grid, and we'll talk about what that means, is being in a secure area that is not going to be threatened due to the demographic trends, due to the geopolitical trends, and indeed due to the environmental trends that are coming and that anyone who studied the situation can see coming. And Joel Skousen has given a great amount of study to this. I recommend you buy his book. And then use that in conjunction with your budget, in conjunction with your journaling, to choose a place where you want to go, and then do that research. I want you to do this rough research. I don't want you to do deep research right now, because what deep research is going to do is going to paralyze you, and it's going to stop you from taking action. The thing that we want in these first steps is to get the momentum going. We want you to take just a few hours to research these things. We want you to have a rough sketch of how much your budget is and how much you're going to spend. And then we're going to start thinking about ways to generate income. And we're going to do this by using contemplation and journaling. And we're going to show you exactly how to do this. So the next video is going to be about how to start generating streams of income. And I don't want you to right now think in terms of thousands of dollars. I want you to think in terms of how can I start this month to make an extra $100? How can I make an extra $80 this month? Because when you start down that path, the streams of income are going to start coming slowly one after another. And this slowly, by slowly I mean in a matter of months, not in a matter of years. And then you're also going to be opening the doors of your intuition, and you're going to open the floodgates of abundance to start coming towards you, because you're going to start getting used to these streams of income, no matter how small in the beginning. And you're going to develop your business acumen and your business mind. And it's something that you're going to need when we start going down this path of rapid lifestyle transformation. So this is basically all I want you to do right now. I want you to keep going back to that letter. I want you to keep feeling the feelings. I want you to heavily work on the inside. I want you to do 80% of your work on the inside. I want you to know that you know that you know that your desire is already hatched. It's already fully created, and you can experience any time that you want. Let's say your desire is a house in a rural area, in a very safe and beautiful area. I want you to visit that area in your mind at least 3 or 4 times a day. When you're at work and you start thinking some negative thoughts or some thoughts about, oh, this is not going to be possible, I want you to go there in your mind. I want you to train your mind to be so good that you can imagine yourself there anytime that you want. This is mental rehearsal. And this is indeed the most important plank of this. The other 20% of the time, I want you to simply start writing down a list of what you think your expenses would be. And of course, don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Go on the upside. But at the same time, don't try to reach for something that's so far out of your current experience that you can't fathom it. And then basically by making this future budget, I want you to do some preliminary research. Don't go and do deep research and do paralysis by analysis. Oh, we're going to do deep research. That's coming later. Right now, I want you to get some fronts. I want you to get some beachheads, like when a military is invading another country, they get beachheads. They go in and invade. And this is what we talked about in our Blitzkrieg video, about when you first have an idea of something, you don't want to let that idea get stale. You want to go, and you want to go all in, and it doesn't matter if you make some mistakes. You just want to advance and get a beachhead. Then once you get your beachheads, that's when you start doing the deep research, and then you go into it more and more. But I want you to get some momentum for the next few days, for this week. I want you to journal about the budget. I want you to do some basic research, and I want you to have just a very basic plan. I can do this and I can do this. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about how to start generating those streams of income. We're going to give you some very concrete advice from experience and from reading the books of others as well. And we're going to go into that. And we're going to bring it into a coherent whole. And we are going to transform our lifestyles, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get free from this grid of control. And we're going to design our lives the way we want them. And then we're going to come and create a very conscious and a very ethical society. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in this path and you want more information and you want to see videos of great value every day, please subscribe and like to our channel, because in the next few weeks, this is the nitty-gritty of the leading edge of rapid lifestyle transformation. So thanks very much for watching. Until very soon, this is Javier with great love and appreciation. We'll see you soon.